So I just saw Madam Web, and it was something. It was definitely something. Was it a movie? Debatably, sure. Why not? Now, this is the newest Sony Marvel film that has turned into a bit of a meme movie. Morbius was obviously memed to shit, so much so that Sony brought it back into theaters thinking that people would actually watch it, and it flopped again. It's kind of funny how out of touch they are that they thought that that would translate into people actually buying tickets to see the movie. Haha, yes, we're in on the joke, everybody. It's Morbin time. Hee. And it looks like the meme magic is also not translating into real sales for this film. I see a bunch of posts for empty theaters in everyone's screening. The screening I saw was almost completely empty, not quite, but pretty close. I think most people are just waiting for the torrent. Personally, I love cringe. I love supporting cringe. I'm cringe. I can't get enough of cringe. It's really just my kind of thing. I want to financially support cringe. I want to see more cringe in the world. Now, it was pretty obvious from the trailer that this would be a colossal, gigantic piece of shit. It is really not that often where I can tear apart a 3-minute trailer over the course of 45 minutes. There was a lot that stood out to me, and it was pretty fascinating seeing just how incompetently filmed a trailer could be. This is already just a wealth of nonsense. We haven't made it even 30 seconds. Like, really basic filmmaking shit. And the trailer is supposed to be the best parts of the movie. Like, it's supposed to make people want to see the film. And yet, this trailer was just oozing with filmmaking incompetency. So yeah, I made sure to buy my tickets right away, and I was honestly surprised with how few people there were in the theater. I thought maybe, just maybe, the meme magic could have done something for this film, but nope. Twitter's not real life. We keep learning this time and time again. I think something that Sony fails to understand is that the success of Venom isn't just because it's a character in the Spider-Man universe. It was successful because it's a recognizable character in the Spider-Man universe. The average person did not know who Morbius was. The average person does not know who Kraven the Hunter is, and I think you forgot to release that one. And the average person certainly does not know who the fuck Madam Web is. This seemed like a movie that might as well just not have been in the Marvel universe anyway. Doesn't really have anything to do with Spider-Man. There's a character that has a Spider-Man looking costume, but it's not. It's not Spider-Man. It's the villain who has spider powers, I guess. The villain was in the Amazon with her mom when she was researching spiders right before she died.
He was in the Amazon with my mom when she was researching spiders right before she died.
Now, that line from the trailer was memed quite a lot on the internet. People found it to be funny because it's a really awkwardly long sentence to say in a trailer, and it's kind of an exposition dump. By the way, this line is not in the movie. Sony loves to do shit like that. I don't know if they got embarrassed by the memes. I think it's more likely that that line was just never going to appear in the film anyway. They love throwing shit in their trailers that doesn't actually happen in the movie. They're pretty notorious for this sort of thing.
He was in the Amazon with my mum when she was researching spiders right before she died. Do you remember that going viral?
Why did that go viral?
I think it went viral because, out of context, people were just like, what does this mean?
He was in the Amazon researching spiders with my mom before she died.
Yeah.
That seems like a basic storyline to me.
To be perfectly honest, this film is way more deserving of its funny bad movie status than Morbius. For Morbius, the memes were funnier than the movie. It's Morbin time. Whereas this film is actually very, very, very funny. First off, every single performance is just terrible. It's real bad. They're real bad. There's a line where Madam Web says, "It's gonna get a little crazy," to which one of the girls responds, "It's already crazy." But obviously, the way it's written in the script, the emphasis is supposed to be on the word already, to say something like, "It's already crazy." But it seems like the line was read without understanding what line she was responding to. Very poorly communicated, very fascinating. And it's not like the director was working with a bunch of terrible actors or anything. Dakota Johnson did a pretty great job in the 2018 Suspiria remake. Tahar Rahim has also been great in films like A Prophet and The Past best. So yeah, the director of Madam Web really knows how to get every single actor working at their absolute worst. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If there are no good performances to be found in a movie, that's the fault of the director. The director of this film, S.J. Clarkson, has directed a bunch of television show episodes, and this is her first feature. Really starting out with a bang here.
I watch so many films all the time, but Nick Rogue's Don't Look Now.
Yes.
I mean, isn't that
The Red,
amazing?
right?
The Red,
yeah.
There you go, The Red. That's why I had a red umbrella, and obviously her character's in a red outfit. Inception, Memento, Christopher Nolan, just brilliant. And so I went back through sort of everything, and even back to some of those 70s films, The Conversation.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, no, I went deep and broad, you know what I mean, on all of these things, yeah.
It's kind of fascinating hearing her talk about the movie like this, because the entire vibe of this film just feels like a bunch of children got together to film a movie, like a not serious movie, and something that none of them are taking seriously. The writing, the directing, the acting, it all reminds me of a bunch of skit videos that I made when I was like 15. From the very beginning of the movie, it just feels like a terrible SNL skit. It's as if the actors are doing some kind of ironic performance or something. Throughout the film, there are so many filmmaking decisions that are just terribly executed. There are noticeable and particular camera movements that are made in this film where I can interpret the type of thing that she thinks she's doing by including that, but she just does it wrong. Like, there's an actual effort to do something, but she has no idea what she's doing. There's a scene near the beginning of the movie where someone takes a gun out and all of a sudden the camera starts doing some shaky handheld thing with some slight zooms here and there. Just really quick, tiny zooms. It's very distracting. It's very weird. I don't know if you think you're the Hurt Locker or what you watched for that one. It was absolutely bizarre. The action scenes in this movie are largely incomprehensible, mostly because of the camera movement and editing choices. It's really kind of crazy just how little of a grasp there is for being able to communicate just the basic ideas of what is going on in a scene, visually or otherwise. There's scenes where characters are in a vehicle and the implication is that the vehicle is moving very fast, but the way it's filmed, it never feels that way. Like, the characters are saying lines that imply that the vehicle is moving fast, but what you're seeing is not that. It's going very not fast. This is a director that also does not care about or does not like the 180-degree rule. Some very confusing stuff going on in this movie, and it is not just limited to the action scenes. It's genuinely fascinating. There's one location in this movie where it seems like they couldn't figure out how to mic it. Every single line that takes place in this recurring location is just really obviously dubbed. It was a pretty bold choice to just not mic the scene. The audio editing in general was terrible. Absolutely terrible. There are scenes where I'm not exactly sure what was going on audio-wise. There are multiple scenes where two songs will play simultaneously. Like, they couldn't decide between Britney Spears' Toxic and the eerie-sounding musical score. Sure, one was diegetic, but just don't play them both at the same time. What are you doing? As they were walking towards the diner outside, the song was playing really low in the mix, but it didn't sound like it was being diegetic because there was no space to the sound. It just sounds like it was just plopped right into the timeline with no effects, just a little bit lower volume. But what's happening in the shot is just the three girls awkwardly walking through the forest, and it feels like it goes on forever. Like, it's terribly awkward. Like, there was nothing in the script, and they were just ad-libbing some lines and just saying things like, oh, are there leeches in here? Oh, weird, awkward. But Britney Spears' Toxic was playing at the same time. I'm like, is this supposed to be like an exciting start to an adventure? The tone is kind of conflicting here. What's going on? It was so confusing and endlessly fascinating. This movie is pretty high up there for most vocal fry. Everyone just talks like this the whole time. And if they're not talking like this, then they're talking like this. And this is how every character talks.
I can see the future. Oh, what the hell? She didn't see that coming? That's not how it works.
There's four characters that talk to each other like that. That's most of the movie, is four people talking to each other like that the whole time. Even when it seems like the script is implying that someone is supposed to be excited or scared or show any kind of emotion.
Who are you? What is going on?
Who are you? What is going on?
Yeah, you almost ran me over.
Yeah, You almost ran me over. And then there's the villain, who we're not quite sure what accent he's supposed to have. Not sure what he was trying to do here, but it was difficult to pinpoint, and maybe a combination of that and the fact that 90% of his lines are obviously dubbed. It kind of reminded me of Tommy Wiseau in The Room. Listening to him talk, it was fucking hilarious. It was great. Also, these 3 girls that she runs into and has to protect the entire film are supposed to be teenagers? They all look like mid-20s at the very least. They're supposed to be teenagers. In the script, Madam Web is supposed to look significantly older than these 3. I thought they were all a similar age, but the dynamic of these characters in the story is implied otherwise. Now, at this point, I'd like to go through the plot of this movie and talk about what makes that so stupid, but after giving it some thought, I'm gonna wait until there's enough footage available that I can actually show you clips from the movie as I'm talking about them. There's a lot of really funny parts that are not shown in the trailer or promotional material. There's a lot of lines that I would love to play for you to hear. So whenever this comes out on video on demand, we will release the rest of what I recorded for this review, because we're also busy working on the Best Picture Oscars video, and we need to get that out before the Oscars come out, because honestly, it'll just be a better video. So for now, I will just say that I recommend watching this in theaters. Honestly, this film really just flew by for me. I was never bored, and I was engaged throughout. It is a legitimately fascinating movie, and like I said, I love cringe. This is one of the best so bad that it's good movies in quite a while, so definitely check this one out. Honestly, I was having a very difficult time trying to assign a number to this. Sometimes I like to give 10s to so bad that it's good movies, like every Neil Breen film, but despite this film sharing a lot of qualities that Neil Breen films have, this was made with so much less sincerity, so it would feel weird giving this one a 10, so I'm just gonna go with a 1, but I just want people to know that it's a very funny 1 out of 10. Like, this is a really good 1 out of 10. Don't get it twisted. Her web really do be connecting them all. So, yeah, watch this in theaters, and if this makes $1 webillion, then they'll make a sequel. A very pleasant, very enjoyable 1 out of 10. Thank you.